Alrighty. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. So I'm going to show you how to roll a slab in my classroom. So there's all kinds of different ways that you can roll out a slab. But in my classroom, I want to show you the easiest way to do it with the materials and equipment that I have. So the first thing is putting the canvas on the table. So you never want to fold the canvas because it'll make your slab different thicknesses and stuff. So if you have extra, just let it fall off the table. You also want to try to get as many of the wrinkles out as you can. You never want to shake this though, because it does have clay dust in it, and that will like billow up in your face, and then you'll breathe in clay dust, and not only can it make you sneeze, but the silica dust is actually not good for you to breathe. So we want to try to keep our classroom as dust free as possible. So now we have 2 1/4 inch sticks. These are gonna make it so we know how thick we're gonna make our slab. We've got a rolling pin. We need to make sure that it's wide enough to make the size slab that we want to do, because you can't use it this way, otherwise you don't know how thick your slab's going to be. The other thing is these are solid wood, so there is never any of this. I have done this demo a billion times, and like these suckers, super heavy. Don't drop it on the floor. Don't whack your neighbor with it. You will get a referral and they will be not happy because they've seen me do this demo, okay? So these always need to stay on the table. They always need to be supported by something so they're not gonna roll off and break your toe because they're super heavy, okay? So the other thing that you need is some clay. So now I've made my clay big enough so that I can make a big tumbler. So the easiest way to do this is to actually start with your hand and kind of push it into the shape that you kind of want to end up with, okay? So if you're trying to make it rectangle, try to start off with something that looks kind of rectangle-y. And the flatter it is, the easier it's gonna be for the rest of it. So now I've got mine fairly rectangle. I'm gonna put my sticks about 1 inch to the side on either side. I'm gonna put my rolling pin in the middle, and I'm gonna be rolling away from myself. Now, I know these rolling pins came with super fabulous handles, right? If you try to use the handles like this, then you're just using your wrist power. I don't know about you, but I ain't got that great a wrist power. So if you use the palms of your hand on here, and you should be standing while doing this, then you're putting your body weight into this. And then I don't care how much or how little you weigh, you are always gonna weigh more than this 1 pound of clay, right? So you start in the middle, hands on top, you're gonna roll forward. And it's not just like a, right? You wanna actually move some of the clay, okay? You should see the clay moving. Once you do 1 pass, you're gonna flip it over very gently. You should never bang it on the table, because that just creates billows of dust and just way too much noise. Okay, so just flip it gently. Make sure any wrinkles are kind of, fixed from your canvas. You're gonna roll it again, starting from the middle. Now, it's not flat yet. I can feel it with my hand, and I can tell that it is not flat, okay? But one way for you to tell if it's not flat is if when you very first flip it over, and always make sure your canvas is good. When you very first flip it over and you push, if this clay right here moves, then you know you're not done yet, okay? So this process, if you do it my way, like when I'm not talking, I can make a fairly large slab. Like this is way more clay than I need, but so normally I would start with just the amount of clay that I actually need. But usually when I roll out a slab, even if I roll out a big slab like this would be good for a bowl or something, not just a tumbler. It takes like 1 to 2 minutes. And that's for me to do it from start to finish. Now, I don't necessarily expect, always make sure lined up. I don't necessarily expect you to be able to do it immediately off the bat in 1 to 2 minutes, but eventually by the end of the class, you actually will be able to roll out a slab super fast. And even when you're a super beginner and you are very first starting this, you should be able to roll out a decent size slab within 5 minutes, as long as you are following the directions, right? So we're just really gently flipping it over, and then you can always check and make sure that there's no wrinkles. Always make sure that your sticks are on the sides, and always make sure that your rolling pin is over the top. Now, me personally, I can do this. It's not a big deal, but we do have bigger rolling pins. So like if you are trying to make a bowl, you could very easily just switch rolling pins to a bigger one if you need it. Or if you know you don't need that much clay, you can just fix it, like, you know, cut some off, right? So now the thing for me, I'm gonna make 2 tumblers. So I can use this giant slab, but you're just gonna keep flipping. As long as this clay is moving when you very first flip it over, it means it's not flat yet. And you wanna get this slab super flat, right? So just keep gently flipping it over. Always check your canvas underneath. Always check your sticks. And then keep on rolling. Now, once you get to the point like that one, it didn't move, okay? So if it doesn't move anymore, feel it with your hands. Feel if there's any bumps. Feel if it's going like this as you move your hand, right? And if it's not, then you're good. And then you can smooth this side. Usually this side's already pretty smooth because the rolling pin's smooth. But one thing that makes your projects look like beginner projects is leaving canvas texture on here, okay? So a lot of times the difference between a professional looking project, or at least like an advanced looking project or an A quality project, is the fact that somebody smoothed or didn't smooth. Now you can just use your hand to smooth, or once you have this rolled out, you can move it to a clean part of your desk. Make sure there's no junk on your desk, but you can put it on a clean part of your desk. And then I have these, which are ribs, AKA a cut up Starbucks card. But you can use those at an angle like this to just kind of smooth it out a little bit, okay? So really, as long as you're following the directions and getting the right amount of clay for what you need to do, this really shouldn't take that long, okay? So there you go. That's how you roll out a slab in Intro to Ceramics in Ms. E's class. Have fun, make something cool, right? All right, thanks everybody. Okay, now advanced students, stick around because I'm gonna show you a little trick that I never showed you in Intro, okay? So this right here is still, even though I rolled it down to a 1/4 inch thick with the sticks, it's still a little bit on the thick side, okay? Now, I want to make my tumblers a little bit thinner. I just think it feels nicer on my lip. So I'm gonna do that, but I'm gonna throw my slab. So watch what I'm gonna do. Okay, now did you hear that noise? Was it a big no, not a big okay? All it is I'm gonna pick up my slab very carefully and I'm gonna like pull it towards me. So I want it to go kind of down at an angle, okay? And I'm only gonna do this a few times, and I wanna do it from different sides each time to keep it as even as I can. And that's a big difference than being ka-chunk, right? We want no ka-chunkers. So that'll just kind of thin it out just a little bit more, and it'll keep it nice and even, okay? It does take some practice though. So if you're like last minute trying to do something, maybe just roll it the regular way. All right, thanks everybody.